Hi, Elise here, co-author of Leadership and Management Mastery. Welcome everybody. And today's topic is management and training skills, the magic number. Ooh, what does that mean for leaders? So this next topic relates very strongly to the last topic, which was Maslow's stages of learning that we were going over. And remember when we were discussing what happens when you have a team member who's kind of lagging behind, they're not quite up to speed with what's happening. So this is where this next topic, which is the magic number, right? The magic number is 7 plus or minus 2. This is what we can take in consciously, all right? There's a difference between our unconscious and our conscious mind. Okay, unconscious mind pays attention to everything. The conscious mind pays attention to a small amount. If you think of an analogy, the analogy would be a black room and you're standing in the middle of the black room, you have a torch and you flip the torch on. What do you see? If you point the torch at a wall, what you see is a very small white light where the torch is pointing at. Yep. Yes? That's your conscious mind. In this analogy, that's your conscious mind, that white light. What's in the middle of that? That's your conscious mind. Everything else, all the blackness of the room, that's your unconscious mind. So your unconscious will just pick up everything, but it's how it then gets filtered into the conscious mind. Now, the benefit of understanding this, or the reason why I want to go into this, is because if you want to be an effective communicator, if you want to be a great leader, understanding where their conscious awareness is vital to what it is that you're doing and how you're teaching them.
Correct.
All right. So George Miller is the man who came up with the magic number 7 plus or minus 2. And what that means is basically people can take in consciously between 5 and 9 chunks of information. Okay. And we use the term chunk because again, that can get broken down as well. But for instance, if someone gives you a list of shopping, Paul, I'd like you to go and buy some milk, bread, eggs, and cheese. Yeah. You can remember that. You don't need to write that down. You're like, all right, I can go milk, bread, eggs, cheese. Good. Now if I go, can you also get dog food, kitty litter, I'd like some cauliflower. Oh yeah, we better get some filtered water. How are you going now? Can you remember all of that?
No.
No, right? Because I've now overchunked you. There's just too many steps going on there. We're beyond the 7 plus or minus 2. We're heading into the 9s and the 10s, and the brain just goes, holy moly, no, write it all down. Yep. This is what we're talking about. So when we have someone and they've got a task to do, you want to break it down into smaller chunks that are easy for them to remember. And if you know that a task is much more involved, again, this is where you've got the procedure manual or the step-by-step. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. Once they've gone through it enough times, it becomes one step, doing that task. So here's another one, driving. You learnt to drive a car?
Yes.
Most people in this day and age have learnt to drive a car at some point. Do you remember the very first time you hopped in a car to drive a car? Right? Now, if we play it through, you sat in the car and you had to check the mirrors, move the car seat so that you could fit where the pedals were. If you've got a manual car, you've got to feel where the gear stick is to make sure it's all in the right position. Then you've got your rear view mirrors, you've got to put your seatbelt on, you've got to learn how to turn, you haven't even turned the car on and you're already sitting there going, oh my goodness. Now you turn the car on, you got to make sure, put in the clutch, you got to get the accelerator at the right point to take the clutch off, got it in gear, you've got to roll forward. Have you taken the handbrake off? Oh my God, you haven't even taken the handbrake off yet. And then someone leans forward and put the radio on, done. Can't. But now, you hop in a car and you drive the car. So notice that.
And hold a conversation and listen to music.
Exactly. And you can talk to people. You can have the music blaring, all of that sort of stuff. You can watch the sat nav to tell you where to go. And you don't have to think about any of these things because you're just driving a car. And this is where the chunking happens, you see. It went from chunk, drive a car, which had like a million chunks to it, to now it's one chunk, drive a car. So this is why it's really, really vital to, you start to get, oh my God, yes, this is what the brain does.
So if someone's lagging behind and they're going through those Maslow's levels of learning,
yes.
What's the relevance of 7 plus or 2 in tying that in?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is when you're bringing them back to conscious competence, or you're bringing them up to conscious competence, depending on which way you're going here. And that is, once they're conscious of something, you have to make sure that they're not over chunked. So if you write it down, you can give them more chunks. But if you're telling them, you can only give them between 5 and 9 chunks. And depending on how detailed the chunks are, you want to err on the side of caution, just give them the 5 chunks. If they're not as detailed, then you can probably give them closer to the 9 chunks of information.
So when we're facing a new trainee and they're getting overwhelmed,
yeah,
one of the places to look at is to go, well, and how many bits of information have we given them?
Exactly. Because also when you've got a new trainee, they need to remember where the bathroom is. They need to remember where the breaks room is. Like there's other things that they're thinking about as well. So this is why you'd go, okay, I just want them to have the 5 chunks and I want them to learn this skill. And again, for you as the person teaching them, what is the most important thing for them to learn? What's going to take the most pressure off the rest of the team? If they learn this skill, they're going to be helping out the team monumentally. Awesome. Just teach them one thing. Then they get that down pat, now teach them the next thing. So this is where it's, this is where you've got that real relevance, is helping that person, A, being able to see that they're overwhelmed, and B, being able to give them the chunks that are right for them. What are the chunks that are missing? And then give them those steps. So if you like this information and you want to find out more, visit my website, leadershipmanagementmastery.com/leader. and discover how I went from basically a high school dropout with 0 confidence to a certified NLP trainer teaching CEOs and middle managers and business owners how to lead and manage their own teams.